said he's sitting in traffic.
And they had to get Patty Bentley's coffee over here.
That do what?
Patty Bentley's coffee. That's where.
Y'all, if I could have your attention, my clock says 7:59.
Did you just get coffee delivered to you?
I did not know, ma'am. That's my colleague's here. He might have had coffee delivered to him.
No, that's Patty Bentley.
Did I get your seat?
That's fine, I can move over.
I can get it.
You will? Yes, ma'am. So kind, thank you.
I appreciate everybody getting up and making it over here by 8 o'clock. We'll try to get you out of here pretty quick. Clay, would you say a prayer for this crowd, please, sir?
Yes, sir, I will. Bow with me if you will. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, I thank you for this beautiful day that you have given us, and we woke this morning to tackle this day. And Lord, I pray that you will bless this meeting. I pray that you'll bless this day as we work for you. Lord, help us to make this day a better day for the state of Georgia. In your name I pray. Amen.
Thank you, sir. One thing we got to get out of the way is adopt the rules. They are just like they were last year. If you got any questions, we'll try to answer them. If not, I'd love for somebody to make a motion to adopt them.
Second.
All right, thank you, Winford.
Second.
John, thank you. All in favor of adopting the rules, as y'all got them in your folder, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. All right, thank you. We have, over the last couple of years, lost some members, and we have, the Committee on Assignment saw fit to give us some real good ones this time. And for their benefit and the old guys' benefit, I'd love to take just a second, and for the people sitting in the audience too, to go around and all of us just say, you know, who we are and where we're from and maybe what we do. Stephen, start right there with you if you don't mind.
All right, good morning, Mr. Chairman. Stephen Meeks. I'm from the 178 down in southeast Georgia, Appleton, Wayne, Pierce, and Brantley counties. At my day job, I farm for a living. We grow tobacco, cotton, and peanuts, and manage some timber.
Thanks, sir, Matt.
Appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Matt Girdler, House District 8, Bourbon County, Towns County, Union County, a little bit White County up in northeast Georgia. I'm a contractor. It's my third year serving on the committee.
Thank you.
Don Hogan, St. Simon's 179. Got a farm 8 miles south of Ocilla. Almost, Clay Perkins almost represents me. So thank you.
Almost.
That might not be good. Is that a good thing? I don't know whether it's good or not. I'm gonna find out.
John Corbett, District 174, represent Lowndes, Eccles, Clinch, Ware, Charlton, and Camden counties. Heavily invested in the timber. It is in my district. Most of my counties are 75% timber. I'm a timber farmer. Also, do some real estate investing, but glad to be on the committee. And Mr. Chairman, look forward to serving with you.
And them pine trees vote right?
Do I now?
Them pine trees vote right?
Hey, that's right.
Mr. Dan?
Thank you, Chairman. I'm Danny Mathis. I'm from Cochran. I serve District 144. That's Bleckley County, Twiggs County, Wilkinson County, Jones County, Bibb County, Houston County, and Lawrence County. Pieces of most of those. So I got a bunch of chunks. I'm in the planting business, and my son's in the planting business. He sells cotton seed, but I'm in the funeral business. So we plant. I know Patty's going to elaborate on that, but I am so pleased to be on this committee, and I appreciate it very much.
You took Mr. Bubba's place, right?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay.
I know I got big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
I won't
Okay.
be able to fill them, but I'm gonna try.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Patty Bentley, representing House District 139. Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Which includes Taylor, Macon, Dooley counties, and the city of Fort Valley, which I share with Representative Robert Dickey, Peach County. As my colleague stated, my day job is the funeral industry, funeral business. Yes. So if you got a good slogan for me, let me know. But my district includes a lot of cotton and peaches in my area. So I'm just grateful to serve on this committee. I've been a part of this committee for the past 7 years that I've been in the General Assembly. So I'm just eternally grateful to the folks back home for blessing me to be able to serve them in this capacity. Thank you.
Thank you. Clay?
Clay Perkle, I farm in Turner and Irwin counties, represent Turner, Irwin, Tift, Ben Hill, and Coffee. Was that 5 of them? That name on 5?
Yeah, you got 'em.
It's good to be here.
Good morning. I'm Susan Holmes from Monticello, Georgia, and I represent Jasper, Jones, Butts, and Monroe counties. And I am very proud that I grew up on a cotton farm that later became a dairy farm. And even though I don't live on the farm anymore, I am a passionate advocate for farming and also a passionate advocate for providing broadband service to rural Georgia.
Matthew?
Good morning, Matthew Wilson, represent North DeKalb and Fulton counties. Requested to be on this committee and very excited to be on it and serve with you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Brookhaven's got a lot of agriculture, right?
Sure does.
And a farmer's market.
I'll say I represent Brookhaven now. I grew up in Griffin, Spalding County. Grew up a 4-H'er and have an ag degree from UGA, so ag is in my blood.
Thank you.
Robert Dickey, District 140, right in middle Georgia, Crawford, Monroe, Bibb, Houston, and Peach counties that I share with Representative Bentley, and I farm peaches, pines, and a lot of pine trees. So they'd be on the committee, and I'm glad we got our great supporters out in the audience from different farm organizations that help this committee a lot. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. Love serving with you.
Thank you. Winfrey, start right there.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Winfrey Newton. My day job is I'm a construction consultant. We build some stuff too. I represent House District 154, which is Albany, Baker County, Miller County, and Seminole County. I leave from Albany and go straight to the Florida line. I grew up on a farm, and I have been serving with you guys so much until I kind of feel like I want to be a farmer. Thinking seriously about it.
Don't quit your day job.
Yeah.
I never have.
I got a cotton picker you can take payments on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Ken Pullen. I represent District 131, which is Pike County, Lamar County, and Hudson County. I work for Synovus, so I guess I farm money.
Great.
Yeah,
Smart.
but excited about being on the committee.
Nice smile.
Scott Turner, House District 21, which is Central Cherokee County. I only represent part of Moy County, but Cherokee County, one of the largest employers in our district is the chicken processing plant. So poultry is important to our area, and I'm by trade just a nerd, so I'm just really
Rick Jaspers, House District 11, Mr. Chairman. Pickens, Gordon, and Murray, believe it or not, one of the biggest farm gate value areas in North Georgia by far. I was a retired county agent for 30 years, and all I've done is agriculture. So I'm sure appreciate being on this committee. This committee is relaxing compared to most others that I'm on. So appreciate you.
We'll see what we can do about that in about a
Oh,
week.
I got something for you.
About next week.
Sam Watson, District 172. I've got parts in Coffee, Tift, Thomas counties, and I grow vegetables for a living.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Emory Donahue Jr., District 2, which is Hall County, Lake Lanier Islands. I have beautiful Lake Lanier and the southern part, Flowery Branch into Jackson County. Of course, we're the chicken capital of the world. The poultry convention is down this week. I was in logistics, hauled a lot of the product throughout the country, and then I've always been in real estate and we're the beekeepers. So I have,
be on the committee.
Well, we got 4 people that keep us all straight, so I'm gonna just start with Lee and where's Paul and David and Rachel. So, go ahead.
Lee Goff, originally from Morgan County, longtime transplant to Atlanta. Now Tom's assistant.
Paul.
Good.
I'm Rachel Deckham. I am from Glenn County. I go to Georgia Tech, and I'm interning in Chairman McCall's office this semester.
And she's keeping us, but she's doing a great job. Go ahead. And even though she goes to that little bumblebee thing, but we good.
They heard, Mr. Chairman, they need a box trapper out there.
Yeah, I heard y'all had some foxes running around with rabies biting people.
We heard about that. It was a time.
My name is David Hartman. I'm with the House Budget Research Office. I'm the analyst again for this committee. I look forward to working with y'all.
Paul Higby, Office of Legislative Counsel, grew up in Clinch County, Georgia, down on the border with Florida. And North Georgia, went to Oxford and college in 1988. Look forward to it.
Paul has already been drafting and redrafting and redrafting and redrafting the same bill.
And
More.
we need to see him right after the meeting.
Yeah, yeah. But thank y'all very much. Did Gary, oh yeah, you got him. We've been getting some questions, and some of the AAs up here have been getting a few questions about the hurricane relief and just how to go about doing some of that. So, Commissioner, if you would give us a Cliff Note Reader's Digest version, and I just hit the wrong button. Come up to one of the mics. He's over there by Steve on the right hand on the mic.
Usually I don't understand.
Start the thing, see if it works.
Yes, sir. How's that? Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Pleasure to be with you, and thank you for this. I will love to kind of lay out 2 or 3 things. If there's anybody has questions, we'll try our best to answer or go find an answer, which is I'm afraid there's a bit more of that going on right now, having to go search for the answer than actually having some of the definitive things, because it's still pretty loose. But on the things that are certain, the investment that you made, the bold steps that y'all took back in special session, we have, I guess, we've accomplished that purpose. We had our completed the $55 million last Friday in our board meeting of the Georgia Development Authority. We've have approved 198 loans. Those loans are for $154 million and some change. If I recall correctly, there's about 180,000 that we're loose on. You might say, why didn't you go ahead and loan that out? Well, we're not sure all of that. This last tranche of 84 loans, you don't know if all of those are going to close. So, if there winds up, we wanted to have a little still in there in case a couple of loans didn't close, and then we could go down to the next person asking for 400, and you could be able to balance that out. The $10 million that's you've approved in the little budget is greatly appreciated by everybody, because it's important to note while we've executed or in the process of executing these 198 loans, the requests for over 400, and the total, while with the 10 that you will hopefully add, that brings us to 65. But the requests we have in the office now are for over 108 million. So the need is great. The need is real. But we've I think you've Mr. Chairman, you've talked to people who've already gotten their money, or had their loans approved. And I think that process is running we've tried to make it as absolutely streamlined as possible for members to remember. If you will recall, when we visited several weeks ago about the progress of this, to remember the structure of the program. The structure was we put a $400,000 cap. We put key things that were important to make a loan. Is, of course, you had to have a minimum of 600 Beacon score, which was, it's borderline. But we wanted to help people. We needed to help people. That's what I think what the intent of the legislature was. It was also essential, and I certainly can report to you that all 198 of these loans, they have a signed continuity agreement with their primary lender. So it's not a matter of making somebody a loan and then the bank calling a loan and then the person can't farm this year. The continuity agreement had to agree that they were going to finance them in 2019. So that we had some institutions that would not do that, but for those who would, at least these 198 have a continuity agreement that allows them to move forward into 2019, which I think is very positive. We'll get them closed up and get the loans funded just as quick. That process, as a loan package, goes back to the farmer. The farmer is able to choose his own lawyer and do his own closing at his schedule. So we don't have this backlog of things. It'll be once the final package gets to the producer and the farm and the lawyer, that will happen just as quick as they can make it happen. So won't be waiting on us. So that's where we are, Mr. Chairman, on that. One brief word about the federal. I think I've told several of y'all, and we've even been here in the bigger meeting. I had hopes that the federal disaster program, the federal disaster response, was going to be hopefully in a quantity that might allow us to take some of the federal response and add some additional to this program. I have suggested that since the week after the wind stopped blowing, that would be a good investment. I don't believe the federal response is going to be sufficient to do that. I believe whatever the federal response, if there's a federal response, that we're going to have to put those resources directly to the producers. Now, when I say we, what I mean is the plan is still that if there's a disaster package, it will be set aside as in a state block grant format to not run the normal traps of USDA. What we've requested as late as this week is, we understand that USDA will have to set the guardrails. That's their job. I just don't know how many lanes there are yet. And that's what's, frankly, is pretty frustrating now. If this deal goes through, that they're considering right now, understand the disaster package is not in this deal. I think it's, I don't think very highly of that. And if I could conclude, Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to take any questions. I will send this letter today to the Georgia delegation, and likely the leadership, and we'll figure out how to get it within the administration. But I would ask this committee, and I'd ask your colleagues, if I might, and read this very quickly. If you would like to support this, I'd love for you to, whatever would be the proper way, Mr. Chairman, if you'd like to list your name, your district, and I don't know whether I'm going to say I or we. I might, probably the best thing, I might just say I'll write the letter, and then if you want to be on an addendum that says I support this letter, that might be a little easier. So if I may, I read this. I am compelled by necessity to report to you that that quality of life conditions throughout rural Georgia remain in peril as a result of Hurricane Michael. Though tax credits, short-term financing, and direct assistance for forest debris removal through this, the state of Georgia has responded to needs in an unprecedented way. Crop insurance settlements near completion, yet far too many farm families face heightened uncertainty approaching this planting season. Paragraph. Storm victims universally appreciate the post-storm commitment expressed by leaders in the highest levels of the executive and legislative branches of the federal government to pursue avenues of assistance. While the solution-oriented cooperation displayed by members of the Georgia congressional delegation serves as a model for our nation, we confess that the process of consideration of recent disaster relief proposals confounds our understanding, because it does. Paragraph. We ask that you utilize every sphere of influence, expand every previous limit of compromise, and exhaust every pathway of negotiation to ensure swift fulfillment of the promises made to and heard by our producers and rural communities. Integrity and economic vitality hang in the balance. We continue in gratitude to pray for your strength, wisdom, and understanding. Now, my intent is I got about 24, 36 hour window before this thing gets up in the Senate. I'd love to have as many of y'all sign it. If you'd like to support that, unfortunately, I can't edit it because we can't write these things by committee. But that's what I'm gonna sign, and we're gonna get it into our ag community. I'm usually not a petition type because usually that I believe it'll work on this one though. I believe we got to reach out in the strongest bipartisan way we've ever done to address the needs of our rural communities. I'd be happy to take any questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Does anybody have any questions? And if also Tom Bayer, if you got any questions about the forestry package, could you? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but if you have any forestry type question, maybe Tom could help you understand some of that. All right, but if we get questions on how to do it, the direct answer is get a hold of the Georgia Development Authority, right? And I don't even know if it'll be any money.
I left that off, Mr. Chairman. We have plenty of applications to go, and we have actually instructed our management to continue to process the applications in-house to reach the additional 10 million that perhaps if the Senate goes and if that happens to be what it is, we want to be poised on the very edge, not waiting. And then when that little budget is signed, then we can execute that next 10 very, very quickly and get them approved. What we don't want to do is falsely raise the hopes of many more people to think that more is coming. That puts y'all in a box and puts us in a box too. So we're doing that in-house. We know that they have submitted chronologically. They are documented chronologically. We are approving them chronologically. That's the only other way we could do it, to be fair. And so that next tranche, which will probably be since day one, this thing's averaged about 200. Every tranche that we have approved averages about $280,000. It's kind of crazy the way that's. First one was 276, the second one was 284, and but it's about 280. So do the math. That gets us about 34 more loans. And so we will go ahead and have those teed up. But we've taken the application down from the website, I believe. We talked about, because it's just, we're not sure.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner, I would like to publicly commend you and your staff, Thomas Carter with GDA and his staff, publicly to thank you for taking this program from nothing to effective, efficient lifeline for our farmers. And I echo your concerns about what has happened on the federal level. Mr. Chairman, one more comment. It's almost like our house is on fire. Everybody can see it. There's layoffs going on in Southwest Georgia now in that community because of the ramifications, external ramifications we knew would happen. And the government officials at the highest level and the federal government recognize there is a problem. It's bad. But it's like firefighters showing up at my house burning down, and they get in a fist fight and can't seem to get the focus back on where the problem is. So I would just like to publicly say that you and your staff have done a exemplary job for the farming community, and I'd love to see that extended to our federal partners.
Thanks, sir. Very kind.
Anybody have anything else for the commissioner? Thank you for fighting traffic and sitting still in the hot lane. A couple of things and we'll be through. Somebody said something about the poultry show. Mr. Abbott, this is the largest continuous running poultry show in the world. Is that right? And if you never have been and you got a second and you want to see some amazing things about how your chicken strips go from the chicken house to the Zaxby's, then you ought to walk through the poultry show. The Peanut Commission, the whole commission deal with the Peanut Commission is set up different than any of the rest of the commissions. They have to give us a report on what they do. It'll be on March the 3rd. You'll get an email, if you hadn't already, from Lee about where the report is going to be held and when. PB&J Day is March the 4th, which is a big deal around here. Another big deal, which will be on February the 26th, is when the cattlemen do their steak biscuit breakfast, and you'll get questions on that because it is not a cube steak. It is a steak in a biscuit, and everybody loves that. We have not, something back on legislation, we have not done subcommittees for several years on the Ag Committee. We have a few bills this year already introduced and given to us that's going to cause some discussion that we don't need to take up full committee time. So we're going to set up a couple of subcommittees to get all that stuff hammered out and not have to take up full committee time and maybe not even necessarily have to be on TV to get this stuff straightened out and get it right. So Lee will be getting y'all each a list of, the subcommittees, and, we'll assign bills to those subcommittees as they come in. But I appreciate each and every one of y'all's interest in getting these things. We got to get it right, especially on a couple of them that we have already. And, it's easier to do it, in a subcommittee type setting. And, everybody, if you're not on a subcommittee, you can still go to it and have input. The public can have input in the whole thing too, so in the subcommittee, so that's why we wanna do it that way. Anything else? I don't see anything else on my notes up here. Does anybody else have anything they wanna say? Well, welcome to you new members, and thank y'all for getting here at 8 o'clock, and meeting's adjourned. Thank you.